Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is
30th.
Monday, December 30th, 2019. Thank you for joining tonight. And let's get a little space weather going here. First of all, our solar wind speed staying moderately low today. This morning we were at 291.1 kilometers per second. This evening we are now sitting at 303.1 kilometers per second with a density of 3.9, so not much has changed today as far as solar wind speed. How does solar wind speed affect our planet, you ask? Solar wind speed does affect the jet stream. In fact, the lower the solar wind, the more erratic the jet stream patterns are, the more wavier they are. The faster the solar wind, the faster and the better the magnetic connection, the stronger and more consistent we see our jet stream patterns. Take a look at the sun. You see that big bright region that is not a sunspot. It was, but it has since decayed. It no longer has the characteristics of a sunspot. That's now 3 days in a row without sunspots, and we are looking at 280 days. If we make it one more day, tomorrow will give us 281 days for 2019 without sunspots. And that is roughly 15 more days this year in 2019 than we had in 2018 without spots. TCI is unchanged at 2.69 with a KP of 1. The 24-hour max has also been at a 1. And let's go over to the grandsolarminimum.com. Take a look at our star. As you can see, it is quiet, as it should be during solar minimums. Bear with me, folks. Just trying to adjust a couple of things here. And it looks like I'm not going to get what I want here. That's fine. There she is. All right, so here we are, dead center. This is behind the eastern limb. You got a couple of regions, maybe. But again, this right here is all weak side connection to the Earth. The back side is where the rest of the solar system is. So when it's Earth facing, we have the weakest magnetic connection. So if we did have some active regions to talk about, certainly we would be probably watching these decay as they became Earth facing. So nothing to really watch here in the near future. All is clear, back to minimum conditions, not even any large coronal holes to really speak of either, folks. All right, let's take a look at SPACEWEATHER.com. Mari thought it would be a good idea to share this with you guys, and I agree. Once in a lifetime stratospheric clouds, a spectacular outbreak of polar stratospheric clouds is underway around the Arctic Circle. This is a once in a lifetime event, says Chad Blakely, who runs the Lights Over Lapland Aurora tour service in Abisko, Sweden. No question, this is the best that any of us have ever seen, said the tour guide. These video is from December 29th, which was yesterday. It looks like aurora lights in the daytime. And that's exactly what tourists thought they were. They were so intense that lots of tourists on the ground thought they were looking at daytime auroras. The tourist said, I had to explain that they were actually clouds in the stratosphere. And we've been seeing these popping up across this area for the past couple of days. Obviously, this one's the most breathtaking version of what we've seen so far. So PSC is breaking out all over the Arctic Circle. And we just wanted to pass that along to you guys tonight before we got into tonight's show. Thanks to SpaceWeather.com. All right. Delhi records coldest December day, second coldest December since 1901. Coldest day for the month of December on Monday, December 30th, is now reported at 9.4 degrees Celsius, which is 48.9 Fahrenheit, 20.5 degrees Fahrenheit below normal, and the lowest maximum temperature on record since 1901 for that day and month of December. Now, this is the second coldest December on record. Previous lowest ever day maximum for December is 11.3, which was 52.3 degrees, recorded on December 28th, 1997, also during, that's right, solar minimum. The other, I just gotta stop. I mean, come on. All these correlations with all these extreme weather events and these crazy cold records, they all go back to solar minimums. 1901 was a deep solar minimum. Very low sunspot counts. Lots of flooding, actually. Dayton had a really bad flood around that era, around 1910, I believe, 1911. But is it ironic that we continue to see these record-breaking cold events, rain events, snow events happening in or around solar minimums? I mean, how does one who says they follow science, how can you not sit there and make this correlation that low solar activity has something to do with all this? Every time I do some of these stories online and I look at these dates and I look at when these records were broken, it's just mind-boggling. And that's why we're here, I guess. We're here to draw those lines to the dots to show you guys that solar minimum, solar activity does influence the climate. Pretty cold out when these guys are wearing coats like this. The dense fog has also caused delay of much of 23 trains coming to Delhi on Monday. Furthermore, an official at India International Airport said there were also disruptions to flight services, with 21 incoming flights diverted to neighboring cities like Jaipur and Lucknow. 6 other flights were canceled. So you got low-level clouds and fog. This is also contributing, folks, to these record temperatures. You're blocking the sun with the fog and these low-lying clouds, point blank. And you're asking yourself, well, what does low solar activity have to do with the fog and the clouds? Well, it has everything to do with cloud nucleation, cosmic rays intruding the atmosphere a little bit more than usual. We're near record levels right now. We're less than 2% away from record level cosmic ray exposure to our atmosphere in the space age. Let's go to another story here on the Watchers. Sudden severe storm caused widespread blackouts and left several homes damaged in 3 districts in Thailand's northern province, Chiang Rai, on Saturday night, December 28th. The storm was very sudden, folks. According to provincial officials, the storm, which struck Mae Sai and Chiang Saen, lasted for about 30 minutes. The sudden storm was caused by a westerly wind current over the northern region, rapidly drawing up very humid air below, which resulted the formation of the vertical clouds and the subsequent storms. Check out this damage. Sudden storm, they say. As if there was no warning for this. Absolute mess. And that's what GSM's all about. Violent weather swings. Violent temperature swings. A lot of folks out there are banking on GSM to just turn this planet into an ice ball. And that the one actual event of any kind of solar activity wipes out the grand solar minimum. I'd have to say, continue to do your research and understand how these solar cycles work. Go back in the past and look at the Dalton minimum. It was a grand solar minimum, yet we didn't see 0 sunspots for 20, 30, 40 years. Same with the Maunder minimum. Now, there was a period in the 1600s, which scientists believe that there was very little sunspot activity during the Maunder minimum. But right now, during our space age and other methods, we have proven that during grand solar minimum, you can still see a solar max, but a very low solar max. The average smooth sunspot count for a maximum is between 180 and 220, 240-ish, somewhere in that vicinity. So when you're telling me that NASA, and I'm going high here, NASA's saying 115, that's not even half of average for a maximum. So just because we see any activity from the sun by 2023 into 2025 for the next solar maximum doesn't mean anything. It's going to be half of what we saw in solar cycle 24. Just remember that. And then it continues to weaken. That's why I kind of got a little upset when I saw the story about how Lisa Upton was telling people that the trend of the amplitude decreasing appears to be over. I don't even know where she gets this info from. It's almost like she's misleading on purpose. Kind of like somebody else I know that thinks they know everything about the sun. Heavy snowfall continues to batter northern Mexico. Heavy snowfall has been affecting many Mexico's northern regions with continuous arrival of cold fronts. On Sunday, December 29th, the government of Chihuahua issued a weather warning for the arrival of the fourth winter storm due to a cold front number 26, which will bring sleet and more snow to the elevated areas. Additional snowfall in Baja California, Sonora, and Durango. For today, the cold front number 26 will move over in the northeast and east of the country, and the mass of cold air that drives it will maintain cold environment in the north, northeast, and east center of the national territory, with morning frost in the states of central Tabel, including the Valley of Mexico and the Sierra Madre Oriental, Mexico's National Weather Service had reported. In addition, north wind with gusts that could exceed 31 miles per hour. The effects will be reinforced by a low pressure channel on the east of the country. The coldest temperature recorded was 37 degrees Fahrenheit in Toluca. As of December 29th, Sonora Civil Protection Services, UEPC, reported that the MX-02 highway, Agua, section of the height of Puerto San Luis remains closed both ways due to snow and ice. That's right, folks. Mexico, higher elevations. We've seen the weather in the southwest, very erratic, very unusual, and now we are seeing more unusual cold and snow in places that we don't usually see. Moving right along, let's get some volcano news. Krakatoa erupting, continuous volcanic ash up to 10,000 feet. Not that big of a deal, but it's been a little bit since we've talked about volcanic alerts. This one is minor, however, nothing to be completely alarmed, but there is an alert remains at 2 right now. Tourists are not allowed to approach the volcano with a radius of 1.2 miles from the crater. This also caused tsunamis from back in 2018, where over 400 people had lost their lives from an eruption. And also, Watchers is basically listing off the amount of activity that we've seen from this volcano since July 12th of 2018. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different times has this made news here, especially on watchers.news. So over a year's worth of time, it continues to be the topic of discussion, especially after the tsunami that took place last year in 2018. All the way back from 2012, this thing started off with a bang, literally. The Krakatoa was going crazy, 100 times explosion a day, very loud, and could be heard until 26 miles away. So that was the first headline that we got about Krakatoa. But once again, eruptions here, and this was for the 22nd. Oh, I apologize. We're 28th. So 28th we have one in October. December 22nd is the story they were talking about, where we had the tsunami. This recent eruption happened today, December 30th. So quite the activity from this volcano, but not as strong as we've seen it in the past. And here we go, Russia eruption at Klyuchevskoy. Klyuchevskoy, whatever. Sorry, Russia, didn't mean to butcher that. I actually practiced this before the show, still forgot how to say it. But we saw an eruption from this volcano today as well at 23:15 UTC. Aviation color remains at orange. This was 20,000 feet, the ash plume. Again, nothing crazy or major, but we do have 2 volcanoes to talk about on the same day. Actually, this was the 29th reported today. So we've had 2 decent eruptions, one in Russia, and of course, Krakatoa in 2 days. So I was just looking at Mari just today saying, well, you know, lately some of the volcano activity is kind of just at an audible, basically just neutral. We're seeing these small eruptions of 10, 15, 20, maybe 30,000 feet. Plumes, nothing major over that. We haven't seen one in a while. And here in the last couple days, we have seen activity from 2 different volcanoes that have a history. And I just want to pick up where I left off this morning about the storm that went across here, Winter Storm Gage. Emergency personnel responded to 470 crashes, including 270 spinouts and 13 jackknife semi-trailers across Minnesota on Saturday as the roads iced over. 43 accidents involved. Injuries, 2 were fatal. Picking up from who really saw the worst of this. And I mean, you know, I'll zoom this in. That says it all right there, folks. Minnesota definitely got pounded, and I'll show you guys the current radar just in a second. The Minnesota State Patrol said an 82-year-old man died about 6:30 a.m. Saturday near Lino Lakes, where his vehicle slid off an icy road and rolled into a ditch. Another man died after he crashed his car into a tree. This happened about 4:20 Saturday morning. In North Dakota, Interstates 29 and 94 reopened Monday morning. All of I-29 and 94, Bismarck and Fargo were closed in both directions on Sunday, and travel was discouraged much across the area of eastern North Dakota. Again, that's where we saw the blizzard warnings. The city of Fargo issued a rare no travel advisory. In our history, the city has rarely issued no travel advisories, only does so when conditions require city officials to do so. So what does that say? It's just like my boss. He'll tell me, hey, we live in the Northeast. You know, we get snow up here. That's what happens. Fair enough. So when you see a place like Fargo that calls for travel bans, I mean, they're used to this kind of stuff, right? They're used to blizzards and gusty winds and snow-covered highways. So it is rare to hear about a travel ban. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the amount of snow that fell, but just the conditions, the ice that was underneath this, visibility at zero for several hours. And that was the big factor here on why they had the travel bans here. But it's good to hear that the highways are back open. Let's take a look at some of these pictures here. This reminds me of pictures from the 1998 ice storm in Plattsburgh, New York, where they got 3 inches of ice that fell. And like this picture here, power lines and power poles, that's enough to bring them down. Trees going through the roofs of some of these houses here. More pictures from North Dakota. Minnesota as well. I mean, these cars are buried up to the middle of the doors. There's no way you could travel with this, folks. So they made the right call here. Just an absolute, just a mess. It's a heavy, wet snow as well. Temperatures teetered up here in the Northeast between 32 and 34 degrees. So we really didn't get to see the potential of this storm like they had forecasted, to be honest with you guys. Here in the Northeast, we saw actually it was more of a rain event. And Mari even told me this before the show, that this particular area that we live in could be shielded by these mountains that surround us, and a change in how the temperature changes around us as well. It could have very well easily funneled in warmer air in lower elevations, and maybe had kept the flow of colder air instead of it all being ice in this region right here. You see this pocket right here. This is kind of the way it's been all day. Moisture all around, and then right in here would be just strange rain, but we'd have freezing rain and sleet up here and over here as well. But right in this district right here was mainly rain today. Now, we did get some sleet and ice towards the end of this storm. It's winding down right now. This is not a big concern if you live in upstate New York. This is about over. This is the current look at the radar. Now we focused on Portland, Maine, Augusta, Rumford. You guys will start to see heavier snow. Boston actually getting some snow showers right now as they were getting ice. This is all going to be snow in the overnight hours. Same thing with Albany and northward, where it was all sleet and ice and rain today. Those temperatures will now support all snow if we get any more precipitation. But for the rest of the night, Concord, New Hampshire getting some heavy snow as we speak. And a few more bands of heavy snow will move through Concord as we go through the night. And that snow rain line is dropping down to Boston now. So it's all freezing rain and rain for Boston earlier. It is now changing over to snow. And that's and Montreal continues to get hammered. They've had snow and ice all day today. So that is pretty much it for Winter Storm Gage. Now, it is still affecting parts, if we can get this radar to pop back up here, it is still affecting parts of the United States here in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Definitely seeing snowfall in eastern Minnesota still, most of northern Wisconsin and northwest Michigan, and that is going to rotate around for quite some time. Detroit, you're getting some light snow showers, but nothing really to write home about. Toledo, you could get some snow flurries tonight, as well as parts of Springfield, Troy, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Also looking at some light snow showers. South Bend, Indiana, Chicago, Illinois, also getting in on this cold air that's whipping across the lakes, and that could also be creating more lake effect snows. Let's go across to the west. Again, we got to wait on this radar. Here we go. Seattle, Washington, nothing much, dry right now. Still more moisture on the way. Southern California, getting a little bit of a break before the next system moves in. Let's take a look at our GFS. Starting with tomorrow, New Year's Eve, that cold air settles in the northeast and in the Midwest, changing it to lake effect snows for Cleveland, Erie, Buffalo, Syracuse, if possible, other parts of New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire as well. And by the time we get to New Year's Day, just some light snow showers across the region in the northeast. The northwest picking up some more moisture. Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, and northeast or northwest Colorado will see some snow showers on New Year's Day going into Thursday. More rain in the Gulf, Louisiana, the Deep South, Mississippi, Alabama, running into the Tennessee Valley. That'll be the next storm system that moves through the northeast with a two-punch kind of thing going on here with this system. So the back end by January 5th will bring snow to the region in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. It'll start off as rain for the most part. Start off as freezing rain in upstate, change over to all rain, and then before it's all said and done by January 5th, which is a Sunday, we have a chance for some light snow across upstate New York once again. Minnesota and Wisconsin, light snow, western Michigan, and of course Washington and Oregon with that rain-snow mix, heavier snow in the higher elevations as well. And we get a little bit of a cold pattern trying to settle in here in the U.S. as it is January 7th, trying to see a little bit of winter here. Cold front moving through on the 9th, and then we get a little bit more minor ridging that heads towards the East Coast with this system on January 10th. We've been talking about a storm between the 11th and the 15th to affect Ohio into the Northeast. Let's see what tonight's GFS run has for us. And boy, we do see that intense chance of snow for Ohio. It starts as rain, but as this cold front behind it, there's still plenty of moisture with it. So this will be a quick burst of rain, possibly a 3 to 5, maybe even 6 to 8 inches of snow in some localized areas from this storm here on January 11th. This will move into the northeast and get really intense by the time it gets to New Hampshire and Maine. And we could see over a foot in parts of northern Maine. And then, like I said, more rain and snow for Washington and Oregon in the northwest. As one system leaves on the east coast, another one forms in the northwest, spreads to the east. Again, Alberta Clipper moving across the northeast by January 14th. And then we see some more ridging before we see some more fridging after that. Here's the ridge. You see the warmer temperatures trying to spike up a little bit. It's going to make it a big mess once again here in the upstate New York region in the northeast. Snow on the back end, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois. You guys are getting your winter share of snow for sure so far. Here the last couple snowstorms, you guys have been heavily involved. And then this system, massive here, starts as rain in the northeast, brings its ugly head to the northeast with snow on January 15th. As it exits out of Canada. Guess what? That's right. More moisture in the northwest and on the west coast. This time it goes up and down from Washington all the way to the Bajas as more moisture. Every time we have a major system and cold front leave the northeast, it's followed by a major system that's affecting the west coast. This pattern does not look like it's going to let up anytime soon. So I wouldn't expect any kind of freak warmish. Now, when we look at temperatures, some of this looks like a mild December. But we do have cold air on the way. We've been talking about it here for a while. Between the 15th and the 22nd of January is when we expect some really colder air to start making an impact on the lower 48. Here's January 5th. This is after the Earth makes its closest approach to the sun. January 6th is the first day it starts to pull away. As we notice that Arctic blob starting to try to move into the northeast, cold air does filter in a little bit by the 10th of January, and then we get a little bit minor ridging here by the 10th of January. This is mild, though. We don't get to see 60s up the coast or even upper 40s. This is going to stay on the raw and cold side of things. It's not going to be a mild ridging like we have seen here in the past. By January 11th, which we have a decent storm moving through, there'll be plenty of cold air trying to invade the lower 48 here by the middle of January. I mean, look, guys, I've been saying this, and I've been watching it too. This cold Arctic front continues to grow from the Arctic and continues to push down southward, and the GFS has shown that pretty much since December, and it's been building up and slowly making its way down to the United States. So let's all hold on to our hats, because I think we have a lot of winter to come. We have a lot of messy weather to come, lots of rain, lots of snow, lots of sleet, lots of ice. And if this continues like we think it will, and I think it's going to be worse in April as far as moisture. And I know some of you out there are thinking, geez, how in the heck could it be worse? Everything is so saturated. Even though we're out of the sleet, snow, rain thing right now, we have to worry about high winds tonight. And with high winds, there's a lot of sogginess out there. We've had snow that's melted because of the rain. Right now, the backyard is almost like a mini lake. So we've got tons of moisture, and now we might have some high winds to deal with overnight. Gusty winds that could knock trees, power lines, who knows? So the more moisture we see, the more probabilities of power outages and trees being knocked over are going to happen. And when you talk about the Earth pulling away from the sun starting January 5th and beyond, and looking at where we are in the Earth's orbit of the rest of the planets in our solar system, I've talked about this line before, guys. Look at this. Right across this plane on the backside is the strongest connection, because every planet in the solar system except for Earth is on a strong side of a magnetic connection. This is the no-go zone. This is where we're going to see our cosmic rays go through the roof. From January, February, March, and April, we will see some very high numbers when it comes to, it could break this space age record before April. Same with the TCI. The further away we're going to be away from the sun, so the thermosphere is going to get even colder. So lots of things to watch, lots of things coming up. Is it as freezing cold as it was last year this time in New York? No. Last year this time, people were crazy for going out in this. I believe it was like around 1 degrees Fahrenheit for the ball drop last year. So we had some extremely cold weather. This year, it's going to be a little tolerable. Mid-30s, maybe lower 30s by ball drop. Not bad at all, folks, considering winters we've had here in the past. Mari, would you like to say hello before we signed off the air tonight?
Absolutely, Jake.
Awesome.
I love to say hello to all my friends in the chat, my GSM family. And I think I just lost my notes. Darn it. Well, anyway, one person I would like to say hello to is Jessie. I hope your mom is on the mend. I guess she has a lung infection.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, it's still worrying, you know.
Sure.
I guess it's not pneumonia, so that's good. I had it written down, so I saw Richard in the chat earlier, Matt, Cheryl.
I saw Matt earlier and Richard, yep.
Where is it? Jessica Lancaster. Hello, woman. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't heard her name in a while.
She's under the mask of Wolf Pup.
Oh, well then. Wolf Pup it is.
She had some warm weather. She said she was sweating. It was like 49 degrees.
Ooh, balmy.
So I hope everyone had a chance to see the video that I put out yesterday. If you haven't, definitely check that out after our show. Please share it on social media, and hopefully it can be seen. When I take a long time to edit, I always, I want people to see it, and half the time, I think people don't see it, Jake.
Well, I'm
tough.
sharing the crap out of it. It is a very highly produced video. Mari worked countless hours nonstop to make it happen, and I tell you, Somebody joked about sending it into the Weather Channel, but it is that professional where you probably could submit something like this into a television station.
Well,
so
I don't know about that, but I do enjoy.
I guess I'm biased.
I do enjoy video editing a lot, and I do a lot of graphic design, and I love it. However, sometimes these projects are very time consuming and can take several days to sift through the data and put it all together in a visual pleasing way. So please share it if you like it. And I don't know, buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon.
Yeah, go to Patreon.
If you like those kind of videos and you want more of them, it's like we have to get the videos seen for me to want to invest like 2 days worth of my time to do more. So I don't want to,
Nobody likes to work for free. We get it, Mari.
But I love doing it.
Sure, so, you do. And you do a great job at it.
So many ideas I have for awesome videos. So anyway, I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking to you. Mr. Morgan Kell, hello. You are too late, but that's okay. We'll give you a pass. You're on the other side.
Real quick, and this brings me back to what we saw tonight in the nightly news. I'm watching the comments here. And Brandon's talking about, or I'm sorry, not Brandon, but Judy, Cheryl, it's supposed to protect your cells from cosmic radiation. I'm glad you mentioned that. Before we go tonight, there has been an increase of measles outbreaks and other sicknesses that we haven't seen in quite some time. In fact, was it a 100-year record for measles outbreak that we're experiencing right now?
All kinds of records.
Yeah,
and plague. Even
Sasha Dobler, we interviewed him years ago, and he talked about the connection between cosmic radiation, plague, grand solar minimum, how the cosmic radiation has some kind of effect on DNA, and also diseases. And look at the strengths of some of the outbreaks.
He couldn't 100% correlate everything. I don't
Close.
know. He came. He wrote a whole book on it, and it's absolutely just fabulous with information, just historical data alone. His website is abruptearthchanges.com, and we have him linked off of our website, thegrandsolarminimum.com. And he actually wrote another book after we interviewed him originally that's also very relevant, and he has a couple ebooks for solar education as well. Really great guy, Sasha.
He almost was able to correlate a major plague or some kind of disease during each grand solar. Almost, but there is quite a few of grand solar minimums that he was able to line up certain.
He recently did an interview with someone too. I don't recall. Like I just saw a notification pop up. So definitely check him out. Great guy. Has a lot of historical information on plagues and just weird cosmic historical stuff. It's there's a lot of unknowns, and it's like there's many pieces to the puzzle, and we're all just sort of assembling these pieces to form a big picture and figure things out together. So I love this community. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I gotta say hi. Someone, let's see. Randy, thank you. He says, Mari, video shared on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Skype, MS social media. Keep the videos coming. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Randy.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in once again to the Grand Solar Minimum channel for our evening update on Monday, December 30th, 2019. We will be live tomorrow morning for New Year's Eve. Of course, we will watch the ball drop, so there will be no evening show.
I won't be able to say hi to anyone until next year, Jake.
That's right.
Or bye. This is my last time on
actually
GFM.
Suspending you until next year.
Okay, well, see you next year, guys.
Yeah, whatever, Mari. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for tuning in once again. Have a great night, and we will talk soon. Take care.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.